Isaac Balami is a prominent Nigerian youth. As an aviator, he is a former national president of National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, a position he held for 8 years. He's the CEO of 7-Star Global. You need to visit that place. That place is amazing. 7-Star Global is a group of companies. If I clap, let's clap properly now. Thank you. 7-Star Global is a group of companies that is made up of 7-Star Global Hangar, the first independent and private aircraft maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Please. In West Africa and Central Africa. Also, we have 7-Star Global Airlines, the first African premium airline. 7-Star Apparels, a big and fast-rising Nigerian fashion world. And by 7-Star, a proudly Nigerian e-commerce platform for Nigerian entrepreneurs. He's also the former president, Arewa Consultative Forum, the youth wing, and a former spokesperson for Trade Union Congress. Balami is a philanthropist with over 600 orphans and widows under the direct care of the Isaac Balami Foundation. Balami is a recipient for over 100 local and international awards for his personal and career achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, with a standing ovation, please let's welcome Engineer Balami to this talk show. Agree with me that Engineer Balami is a youth, Abby? And the main reason why the youth executive brought you here today, sir, is because you've achieved so much as a youth. So we believe that if you can, we can too, true or false. So we are going to be talking basically on discovering purpose. So my first question to you now, sir, is how did you discover purpose? At what point in your life did you decide, I want to go into the aviation industry?
Wow. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you all for this opportunity. And let me also thank my mentor, my leader, Pastor. It's always a privilege to be in your presence. Mommy, thank you very much. So I'll just stop there. You see, when you talk about how I stumbled into aviation, I will say it's God. Because I was in the normal conventional university, and I happened to be an active SUG, that's a student union government leader. So fighting for people's right, and I was asked to leave. The last one was ABU Zaria. So when I left ABU Zaria, I thought that was the end of the world until I saw I met with a few friends that helped me into the aviation college. So basically, that was how I stumbled into it. I thought at the other side, everything has stopped for me. I felt very, very bad. That why should I be punished for doing what is right? Okay. But I never knew that God was actually preparing something better for me. I never knew that, in fact, because if I was called back to ABU's area, I would have gone back.
Wow.
You know, but I never knew that God had something better for me. So basically, whenever you do your best in life, whenever you do the needful, and you know you are not at fault, but some forces are just against you, whether good or bad. In most cases, if you are somebody who believes in God, just take it in good faith, and flow, because you just never can tell where God is leading you to. And I think that is my story.
Wow. So trust the process. Trust the process. So whatever you're going through now and it doesn't feel like everything you're putting together is not working, might be God saying that there's another path. So, sir, what's been in the aviation industry like? Is this something that you advise a young adult to dabble into? Is it expensive to train to get into the industry? I think we should start from there.
Yes, of course, aviation is capital intensive. It takes millions of naira. And funny enough, it's not actually as expensive as people say it.
Okay.
Because if you look at the cost of being an engineer, let's say mechanical or electrical, in a conventional
University.
Okay, let's even say private university.
Okay.
Base university charge about 5 million naira per session. So if you're doing 5 years, it will cost you about 25 million naira to be an engineer, if there's no carryover or spillover, you call it. So, and I think in our hangar, from Covenant, from Base University, from even other universities from Europe, UK, America, Russia, I think we have tens of CVs of first-class materials in various engineering fields that are really, really looking for a job. So when you look at how much they've spent, and yet they are still jobless, it's not actually funny. The Nigerian aviation industry is just coming up. I think things are actually improving now. For example, when you talk about the technical aspect of it, I think aero contractors in the past has changed the narrative. By getting a lot of people, because before, when you graduate, it's always difficult to find a job. And when you find a job, it takes time for you to even get that, minimum 3 to 5 years experience. But things are actually changing. So what Seven Star is doing basically is beyond just graduating with your basic license. So thank God again, also thanks to the church, they sent a gift to me on my birthday, Wednesday. And they also prayed with me. And on that same day, while we were celebrating the birthday, the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Abubakar Balami, signed into law with the power bestowed on him the Seven Star Global Institute of Management, Science and Technology.
Wow. Wow.
Now, that again is a miracle, because that is something that we met the queue. We met people. I think Julius is here. Julius Olusegun. We started about 4 months ago. And we met people that have been there for 3-4 years trying to get that same approval from the government.
Wow.
But we got ours within about 4 months. Again, thanks to the team. But basically, what we want to do is we have been able to identify the challenges. So why we have challenge in the past, when you get your basic license, whether from Air Force Institute of Technology or the Aviation College, or you go to Ethiopia, go to Egypt, or you are from Europe, UK, or US, or China, you come back with your basic license, and some even come back without a license. Just the basic diploma or the basic degree. And they are actually not employable. So what the airline do is, even when they employ you, it takes you an average of about 5 years to get one aircraft type. Meaning, because aviation, the fact that you can drive or you are a mechanic on Peugeot, you cannot just touch Nissan or touch BMW or touch Toyota. So in aviation, you have to be specialized. Otherwise, you will just work as a basic technician supporting a licensed, type-rated aircraft engineer. Or if you're a pilot, you can't fly more than one aircraft except if you are type on that aircraft. Wow. So it's a specialized field. So you have somebody from a humble background, coming into a company that is actually struggling, and the person cannot actually get that type course. it takes about 5 years. During my time, it took us an average of 5 to 10 years to get one aircraft type. But what Seven Star has done with our sister company, Leadstream, is in the last 2.5 years now, we have been able to train the course that will take an average aircraft engineer 5 years to get. Now you get it immediately after school.
Wow.
So while your brain is still very fresh, you can still remember your basic aerodynamics, airframe, jet engine, piston engine, and whatever. You can easily, get your pressurized gas turbine engine, and then you can now go ahead to get a type course. An example is somebody here, Douglas. Now he's in 7-star Global Hangar. He's waiting for the next type course. He has his basic license, and if he's lucky, in the next few months, he will enter the next course. Now, once he has that course and he works hard enough, and he has the experience, then he's worth a lot of money.
Lots of money.
Yeah. So what that does is that by the time you are now joining the 7-star Institute, we don't want you to graduate with just the Nigerian license. So you have an option of choosing Nigerian license and European or American license. And we have been able to get this approval whereby in 7-star Institute, you can write the American exams or write your European exam here in Lagos.
And be licensed the
and
same
be licensed.
way someone that traveled to
exactly.
Europe or
So
to
by the time, so if you want to work overseas, Canada, US, Europe,
you can work with
and you land with that license, you're worth $10,000 a month.
Wow, that's amazing.
So this is what we're doing because I believe that as Christians, we are meant to solve problems. You are not permitted to meet a particular challenge in any sector and leave it the way it is. You have to find a way. And this is what 7-Star Group is doing to actually improve. So aviation, right now, there's high demand in China, in US and Canada. Thousands of engineers are required right now. So once you have this license, and that is why we're doing what we're doing. So the whole idea is actually to make impact. Okay. And we're also doing other courses. Because I discovered that I used to have an uncle who was very, very good in welding. He went to the US at some point and he participated in their annual conference or their annual event. And he did some welding. He was so good that they equated to a machine welding.
Wow.
And the US Aerospace, NASA gave him a job.
Wow.
Now he had to come back because he was to come back and be a king back in the village. But the bottom line is that as simple as welding, as simple as welding, as simple as, operating a crane, these are things that we are going to be doing. Today, Dubai, I think, have one of the highest high-rise buildings in the world, growing very, very fast. Europe, America, and other parts of Asia. If you can just learn how to operate a crane,
get jobs there.
It's thousands of dollars per month. So what 7-Star Institute is doing, we are looking at those courses that, aside getting your normal degree or your normal OND, HND, or a postgraduate, you must have what you call certificate, not just certificate.
So in 7-Star Global, you go sabi the work.
Because you see, when you know what you're doing, then you can't actually suffer. Like dropping your CVs everywhere is not even an option because you will be highly,
recommended or requested for.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sure before we open the floor for questions, I'm sure one question that is running in the minds of a lot of people that is also running in my mind is, do you need a BSc in or an engineering degree to be able to do these courses? Do you need to be a graduate in aviation school, or you can just be a graduate from any conventional school? So if yes, must it be an engineering course to be able to attend and get the skills?
Okay, so, well, not all courses. Usually engineering and technical courses, you need basic science background. Now, you don't have to be a graduate. You can just have your WAEC or your NECO. Okay. But if you're already a graduate, then it will be shortened for you because you already have the basis. So somebody who is going to spend, like, let's say 3 years, maybe you spend just 18 months.
Wow.
Something like that, because you are already a graduate. So we don't have to go back to the basics, your basic physics, your basic engineering and thermodynamics, whatever. So you already know the basics. But if you are somebody who is in social sciences and you want to diversify, yeah. So we are discussing with the professors to see, do you need to go back and write WAEC again or NECO to get the basics? So that I cannot answer for now. Okay. Or do you need to go through like a 6-month program, like a remedial, whatever you call it? So these are things that is actually subject to approval of the government. However, I think we have come to the understanding that there are people that graduated as lawyers, but they are good software engineers. That is, they sabi it. So they have passion and drive for it. So in Seventh Star, we'll be playing with those. So it's not just about what you study in school, it's about what can you offer.
So this is an opportunity.
We can build it towards it. Yes, exactly.
So this is an opportunity open to everybody. So if you're interested, please, it's an opportunity.
And the good thing, why we had to go through limited by guarantee to get the Minister of Justice approval, is that as a limited by guarantee, we can access funding also from TED Fund. We can also access international grant because we can run as a profit and also as a non-profit. So what that means is that I know that the amnesty program does the Ministry of Niger Delta, you call it, and we also have now the Northeast Development Commission, and there are some governors that are actually trying to see what they can do. So what Seventh Star will be doing, we'll be engaging those governors to see how they can pick, even if it is 5, 6, 7 people per each local government, because there's so much we can do as a nation. There's so much you can do as a governor, as a senator, all this your constituency allowance and what have you. Yes. Then if you are also very good and you can't afford to pay, because I was once in that position where CAC from Canada and aero contractors paid my school fees because I couldn't actually cope with the fees. So, but it's also a function of your commitment. So I think as time goes on, because it's not going to be cheap, yes. It's going to be in millions per year, but you'll be sure of what you're getting. But we're also going to be, making it possible for people, even orphans,
to be able to
less
study.
Privilege, but you must pass the entry exam. So we can say, okay, every year we want to give 100 slots out. And per each zone, you can write the exams. And if you pass, you can actually have it for free. Yeah.
For free.
So we'll be getting some of those international NGOs. I know about a lot of multinationals that, since we are properly registered, I believe that they will be interested in sponsoring. Yeah. So
and funding such
exactly.
excellent students
exactly.
for the course. Please, let's give him a round of applause. So I think it's time to take questions from the audience. Do you have questions for Engineer Balami? Okay, not a lot of hands. Okay, so I will continue with my questions, sir. Did you make, apart from the issue with the SUG, what would you advise to young adults? Are you saying like some people want to go into business full-time? Some people want to forge the career path. What would you advise for someone that wants to go into business full-time? What would you say?
Yeah, so you see, one thing I've actually found out about this issue of business is a lot of people just want to start business. Like, I've met young people that fresh graduate, no job experience. What do you want to do? I want to run an NGO. Because there's this perception that if you have a registered NGO, you'll be having access to funds and then you can live a large life and whatever. You see, that is that is good for those who are called for that, right? You must have passion because it's not as easy as it is. Except for now that people are saying, how can we work together? I think the first support we got was my last birthday where my few friends from the aviation sector, engineers, pilots, raised about 5 million naira for our orphanage. That is the first time that we are getting such a privilege. But we've run this NGO for about 17 years. Without any support from anywhere. Wow. So because a lot of people just go into this NGO thing just to make money. They don't really have the drive. So if your aim is to make money from it, then you will not be able to weather the storm. In business, I try to ask young people to actually collaborate. If you have the funding and you have the capital, you have the technical know-how, no problem, and you have access to funding, of course, maybe through loan or through family and friends, that is good. But one major challenge I've discovered is a lot of people believe that I need to be a CEO. And I'll tell you, Buhari is there in the villa, or Goodluck was once there, or late Yar'Adua or Obasanjo. You used to hear about kitchen cabinet, or you used to hear about cabal. These are people around the corridor of power that make decisions. It is what they want that the president will do because they advise him. Now, whether you see it as governance or entrepreneurship, I think it's very, very important for people to know their role. You see, it's easy for me to just stand here as Balami, 7-star global. And people look at me, oh, I also want to own a hangar. I also want to run my own airline. Yeah. And I was having a staff meeting with all the cleaners, pilot engineers, and everybody on Friday, I think. Was it on Friday? Yeah, Friday. And I told them, for 4 years, we didn't make revenue.
4 years.
And our rent for the hangar and NAFIS and the factory is 148 million naira per annum. For 4 years, we didn't make a revenue. We didn't make a dime. So when you want to be like Balami, do you have what it takes to raise 148 million naira every year, aside paying staff salary, aside processing your license to start operations, which took us about 3-4 years? So do you have what it takes to go through that? But yet, even though I am the face, and God has given me the capacity and the muscle to go through that kind of pressure, I couldn't have succeeded without the support of my deputy, the head of quality, the head of HR, the head of admin, the head of finance. So the success story today is a function of all those people. So sometimes those people, they don't take as much pressure that I do take, but they are also as important. So when you look at the face, it's easy to look at the face, but if I have a kidney failure or I have a heart failure, I'm not going to be here. If I can't see or I have neck injury, I can't even look at you and talk to people easily. So in most cases, if God has called you to be a kidney of any system or the heart of any system, why do you want to be the face? Why? You know? So most people, they just want to be the face. You will go to, even in ministries, you see big churches, some pastors, their aim is they just want to be the lead pastor. But the question is, when it's time to pay the rent or when it's time to face government, can you really face it? Do you really have what it takes? Do you have that kind of large heart? Have you been called to bear or to go through that kind of pressure? Yeah. So for me, and we are talking now as brethren, right? So you see, Nigeria is very, very tough. Nigeria is extremely tough. I would say Africa is extremely tough. There are ideas we have that if we are in Europe and the bank will refuse to fund it, we can sue the bank to court. But in this part of the world, it's not possible. The best idea will never be supported. But one thing is, even if you are an entrepreneur, you can start very, very small. There are people that I've seen, like when I was in ABU Zaria, I bought my first car on campus. How? As a student. In my early 20s. Early 20s, I mean. I had 2,000 naira, and I decided to start making stickers that you place on your laptop, on the door, on your car. Yeah. And with 2,000 naira, I was able to print sticker that I sold for 7,000 naira. I was careful in the kind of words I choose. I look at what we go through as students. We soak gari with salt. We go through a lot. There was so much poverty on campus. If your parents' salary is being delayed, you spend like 2-3 days without getting food. You have to depend on friends. And we used to say it is well, even in the well. And I wrote it on a sticker, blue and red color. People were able to identify with it, and they bought all, 7,000 naira. By the time I bought for another 5,000 naira, before you knew, I was making hundreds of thousands, like 200,000 on just stickers alone. I was in Abuja some times ago. That was about 6-7 years ago. And we had a conference just like this. This guy is a graduate. He was complaining that he has been looking for a job for 5-7 years, no job. And the guy even had a car that his auntie or his parents gave to him. And I'm like, okay, why don't you go to people like Jevnik or any good restaurant in Wusetu? Tell them that you will supply lunch to banks around, to offices around. They don't have to come out and eat lunch because that is man-hour, loss, whatever. And the guy, he was doing that. I think they were giving him about 250 naira per plate of food when he supplies. And he would just put fuel within Wusetu, Garki, whatever. This guy was making over 380,000 naira a month, sometimes 500K a month, for the food he did not cook. But he knows that this man needs to eat lunch every day. He is in his office. I can deliver this food. Let me just start doing that. And now this guy is making so much money that he opened his own restaurant.
Wow.
Now the point I'm trying to make here is that we just sit down and we complain, I want a job. Why can't you create something? You can actually create something. I mean, you don't have to, because the way it is now, you can see that there's no direction as to job creation.
Yes.
The government of the day cannot tell you that we are creating 1,000 jobs tomorrow and they will create it. Because there's no capacity, there's no direction to that. So will you keep waiting for the same government? Or is it the private sector that is struggling to keep up because of the high cost of doing business, with so much because of the hostility, how hostile the environment is? So I think there's something you can do. There's something you can do. It could be makeup. It could be just fixing of nails. It could be making of hair. I know of a lady that is VIPs that call her to make their hairs in their houses. She makes so much money. She now has her own car. I know of a friend that was a graduate, 2-1. I said, but why can't you start doing extramural lessons for people? I told him my story, how I did it in the past. And this guy said, okay, as I talk to you now on a daily basis in the evening, between 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., he has minimum 2-3 families within the same estate
they come
table.
Together.
And some is twice a week, some is three times a week. This guy within Ikoyi and Lekki, he makes about 700 to 1.2 million naira every month.
Wow.
Because I pay him, my kids is 100,000 naira, even at discount, to do lessons 3 times a week. I had to beg him. He was going to charge 150,000 naira. So if you want your kids to come back home, do their home, you have to pay because I can't do it. My wife is also busy. So you see, and I tell you, even if you are living here, the neighbors around, their children need it. So you can't say that there's no job. You have to find something. You have to create jobs. So that is being your own CEO, earning something instead of just sitting down complaining.
So I have take home today from today's session. One is that recognize a problem that you can be the solution of. We've heard this over and over again, and Mr. Balami, Engineer Balami is confirming that today, that you need to recognize a problem. Also, go into partnership. You cannot do this alone. Most of the time, we don't have all the funding. We don't have all the time. I'm sure that's why people that have made so much money invest. They are just investors. They invest in businesses that they see businesses that are going to do well. So one last question. The way you talk about aviation, sir, so much passion, so much dedication. And I'm seeing fashion. Where did fashion come from?
Okay, so you see, for me, for your information, the 7-Star, of course, is a group, and we have 7 of them.
Yeah.
7-Star Global Airline, 7-Star Global Hangar, 7-Star Apparel, buy7star.com, 7-Star Global Construction and Engineering, We have now the Seven Star Global Institute, and then we have Seven Star Global Oil and Gas.
Okay.
They are all incorporated. So it's a network. It's actually a network. By the time these 7 companies are actually operating, the 6 will depend because there will be huge demand for uniforms, whatever you call it. So 7 Star Apparel will actually supply it.
Wow.
By the time 7 Star Apparel actually produces clothes, we have a Cessna 182 aircraft that can take about 450 kg with about 50,000 naira fuel. If we upgrade the engine, we can fly into Ghana and drop 450 kg of apparel with 50,000 naira fuel and fly back. So we can distribute clothes, anywhere. Like what I'm wearing, we make all these clothes, so we can distribute it affordable. But you see, about the apparel, I found myself having even more passion in it for one reason. Because with about 100 and something thousand naira, we were able to access about 500 industrial sewing machines.
Wow.
In Lagos market here. We didn't have to import it. And if you have 500 industrial sewing machines and you are fully operational, by the time you are running 2 shifts, how many staff are you employing? How many tailors?
That's
1,000 tailors. So which business can you do in this country? And these tailors, when we were doing those face masks and those PPEs, I don't think there was any tailor that was any less than 70 to 100,000 naira a month. Some fast tailors were making as much as 200,000 naira a month. Wow. That is far, far, far above the minimum wage or even what any federal government agency can even pay.
Or what any tailor can make in their shop.
So the whole idea now is that once the airline is floating, is running well, the hangar is doing very, very well, we intend to move the factory for the tailoring to a permanent site where we have partners that are bringing additional 1,000 machines.
Wow.
So with 1,500 machines, you're looking at creating a whole community where you have sessions for suits, for native wear, that is a traditional wear, uniforms, casuals, and what have you. And by the time you have 3,000 jobs that you can create with less than 500 million naira, then I think we'll now have a template to talk to other governors that come. If you really want to create jobs, this is the way to go because the African fashion is in high demand. My wife makes it. There's no week or month we don't ship what she sews to Canada, to UK, and they pay heavily for it. Oh. They pay. So the whole idea is job creation. So every other sector that you actually look at is actually job creation for us. It's good to make profit because you need to sustain the business.
Yes.
But behind, we know that it's actually job. And you see, most times, since that was your last question, it's not easy. You must be so committed in what you are doing and very, very focused in a way and manner that people can see you and actually trust you. Trust you in a way that even when it is difficult for them, they can actually take risk on your behalf. They can actually risk it. Okay, let us support him. Let me give this person a contact. Let me support this person. It's not going to be easy all the time, but if you are faithful and you hold on to God, at the end of the day, it will actually pay off. I could remember clearly the first $1 million I got. Then we didn't even, there was no hunger. It was just the vision on paper, of course, incorporated already, with just an office in town in Abuja. And every day I would enter this office, talk about the vision, enter it. So I was so consistent for a year that somebody saw me and said, this is your business, Seth. Can I buy 10%? I said, yes. He said, how much? I said, $1 million. He said, let's go to the bank. He gave me $1 million that same day.
Wow. Wow.
I've seen situations whereby, and Pastor Wale can actually attest to that, whereby people will stand for you and take so much risk because they can see future. They can see what you're doing. If you are somebody who is into movie and you're very, very good in editing and you can produce a good movie, you've written the script, you have everything. If you really, really know what you're doing, it will be easy to get people that will pay for the camera that you will rent to go and shoot the movie, to pay the characters that will actually appear in the movie. But you see, it takes time. even if you are my kid brother, I won't just give you 2-3 million naira to go and rent those equipment to shoot a movie. You must have demonstrated capacity and drive and commitment, so that even if you make mistake and that whole money is being lost, you will still remain focused to get it right. You will learn from it.
Yeah.
So people are actually watching. Anything that you do in this life, be faithful, be committed. If you are very, very focused and you are committed, trust me, you'll be shocked that people are actually looking at you. We got a land. We were to secure a land 3 months ago in a prime location, 20,000 square meters. The land in the airport was worth about 600 million naira, to be leased for about 30 to 35 years. And big airlines were going to pay cash. And we had a window. We were offered about 100 million naira to buy that land based on, God's grace,
Yes.
And we couldn't raise 100 million naira. So I met with somebody in Abuja, because a man of God recommended that he should please see me. When I met with this man, I said, sir, my name is Isaac Balami. He said, hey, stop. He said, he called my full name, and he said, in 2016, on the 16th, he mentioned the date. He said, I was in the villa when you gave a speech. I loved what you said. He said, in Akwa Ibom, in 2017, you gave a speech in an aviation conference. I love what you said. He said, in Transcorp Hilton, when you invited the Oni of Ife, I love what you and your team did. So I know you. I've followed you for 10 years.
Wow.
I was meeting him for the first time in my life. He said, I have followed your story and what you are doing in this country for 10 years. What do you want? I said, sir, we just got a land. And we don't even have collateral to even secure that, because if we can get that land, it will make us the biggest landowners in Lagos Airport. It means that we are going to be occupying about 45,000 square meters. That is 4.5 football field in Lagos Airport. And it will help our investors coming in to make up their mind, because we are talking to about few people. And he said, okay, is that all you need? I said, yes. He placed a phone call. He said, please raise me a bank draft of, and he mentioned 100% of what I asked for. And he said, when you secure the land, let me see the certificate, and I will build it for you.
Wow.
So what I'm trying to say here is that this man, for 10 years, I was just doing my own thing with so much passion and drive. I never knew that he was watching me closely. And in his mind, he was eager to even be part of what this young man is doing. Trust me, in Abuja, I think Olusegun will attest to that. There's a guy called, Lolade. I personally had to go and I said, I want to invest in your business. And what he was looking for, I put in. Nobody will see something good and they will not believe in it. Since I invested that money in 2014, up till date, nothing has happened. And I invested millions of naira then. But because I believe in him, I am still hopeful. And if he comes back to me that, okay, Oga, we are now ready to start, I will still put in more money because I believe in him. So be focused, be committed, be truthful. People are watching you. God, above all, God is watching, and he will touch the heart of men to empower you to your next level. Thank you.
Amen. Okay, so our senior pastor have a question.
Thank you, Engineer Balami. We are happy you were able to make it today. I was told by the youth leaders that you had to actually shelve a meeting to be here. We're so happy. I've known you for some time, and many people may not know that you've been a believer since you were a child. Your parents are missionaries, and in secondary school, you were one of the fellowship executives. You do a lot for the body of Christ. I'm aware that today you are a house fellowship leader in House on the Rock. So you do a lot for the body of Christ. What I want you to tell us is how believers, you as a believer, you're able to warehouse in the same person a lot of visions that you have uncompromisingly, declaring your stand. You are from the north, and you are from the core Muslim area, but you are a believer. You've had to face a lot of challenges. I'd like to tell us, particularly our young people, how that we do not have to be like the world to make a mark in life. And how God has shown up for you in different areas and why you keep on serving him in spite of all your schedule and all of that.
Thank you very much, Pastor. So, like Pastor did say, I was privileged to come from a very, very humble Christian background. But you see, I'm not the only person. There are a lot of us that also came from a humble Christian background. The point is, what have you done with it? For me, like I always tell people, you can come to this world and you live for just 30, 40, 50 years, and you make so much impact that for the next 100 years, people will actually talk about you. You can live up to 100, 90 years old, but by the time you are actually gone, after that 7 days prayers they do, after they bury anybody, that will be the last time anybody will actually hear about you. So what is more important in life is actually for you to be able to know what is my purpose in life. Now, if you can identify your purpose in life, which is what I mentioned initially when I talk about you can be the heart of a system, you can be the neck of a system, you can be the kidney, the liver of a system, and these are all vital because the system cannot function without any of those. So if you can identify who you are, and for me, my main assignment is, of course, as Isaac means laughter, is to bring laughter to my generation. So you can't make people to laugh or to be happy if you don't solve problems, if you don't make them see reasons to be happy, because without hope, people cannot actually cope.
So, I hear you.
So what I do is, I've been privileged. Early enough, I know this is who I am. Like, that is why when I did a program in the US, I was offered a job. I wasn't carried away like every other youth that want to run to Canada, run to the US. Give me any amount of money today to go to UK, US, Canada. I will not work there because I know my assignment in life. I know why I am in Nigeria, and I know it's very tough. It's not easy, but I know I'm actually getting there, and it's actually working. So the point here is that if for everything, I gave a testimony on the platform of Koinonia Apostle Joshua Selma, and when I gave that testimony at the end, after all what I said, what God has done for the past 16, 17 years in my life, I said, I thank God that I was able to achieve all this without denying Jesus and without joining any cult. Now, the point here is that it is possible because I have seen people that backslided, that they tried to belong to a society, and I sat down, I tried to compare myself and them. They are nowhere close to what we have achieved with the team. So that means that it is possible to actually achieve so much in life depending on God. When I gave that testimony, somebody actually called me. And he told me that, but why should you mention that you didn't have to join a cult and that you didn't deny Jesus? Are you trying to mock other religion? I said, well, that is your problem if you see it that way. But for me, I'm happy because I was offered so many things to denounce my faith. I was offered so many things, money, call it, to actually belong to a particular clique. But what I'm saying is that I refuse. And you see, it's good to be honest. There was a time when I was offered $2 million bribe. Not to kill anybody, just to sign a document that will, make, let me not mention where, but my conscience wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to be happy. Now, on that same week, in that week, my children were sent out of school. In my estate, they cut off the water and the electricity supply because we didn't pay the service charge. And there was no salary. And my parents were sick.
Wow. And there was $2 million on the
And there was $2 million. I didn't take it. Somehow, within 7 days, God showed up and I was able to pay my bills and everything returned back to normal again. So if I had taken that money, these people, because I know who they are, by now they will tell the whole world that that boy is a thief. Don't even talk to him. Don't even trust him. But ever since I left as pilot president, I've stood in different conferences to say, if there's any airline owner or any CEO of any airline or any minister who has ever given me a bribe for 8 years that I was the president, or in fact, we were the only union in the country at some point that did our trade, what do you call it now, at the Ministry of Labor, we did our annual returns and we cleared our books every year for 8 years non-stop. For an average union house, that normally is just a place to go and chop money, or they just behave like Agboro sometimes, it's not a norm. But in our own case, myself and my team, we said, no, let us do the right thing. We are not here for the money. And for 8 years, we didn't put ourselves on any allowance or any salary, because it was about service, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say here is that it is possible. You see, when you do what God likes, it's not going to be easy. Because so many forces are fighting you. The Bible says that we are not of this world.
Yes.
But what is important is your heart. I keep asking myself, I have Maurice, he has been my driver for the past about 14 years now or so. And I know he's not getting young. Maurice is going to be 50 years old very soon. And the point is that as a driver, we know how much they earn. It's nothing. What is his savings? So when he's 60 or 70 years old, what will he, when his children get to university? So as he's serving me, God is also gauging me. What plans do you have for people that look up to you? So that at every given point in time, I tell people that the greatest voodoo or juju or babalawo on earth is the purest of heart. So your intention towards people, your intention towards what God likes. So even when you intend to do something and you can't do it, God has seen your heart. You have that reward already. But I can tell you that it is important for every step you take, you ask yourself, it shouldn't be about you. It should be about God and about people. So if you have that mindset, yeah, people will think you're a fool. People will think you don't know what you're doing. People will think, but at the end of the day, it will actually pay off. It will actually pay off.
Thank you.
You know that today that Engineer Balami is here, let's take full advantage. Well, you know, when your profile was brandished on the screen, Group CEO, and I mean, I know you very well. We've come, it's been some time now. I'm sure a lot of people will like that kind of accolade too. They see you with One of Ife, with Buhari, and the different places. By the way, he's also a chief, a red cap chief. How does the work ethic of a group CEO look like? Now, this is a question for most people because I know exactly what it is. Are you able to sleep? How many hours do you work each day to be able to catch up all of these different things? How many times do you have to travel between here and Abuja many times, and then outside the country, the meetings you have to keep with different time zones because of your partners all around? I wanted to give us a little inkling into the work structure, the work life of a group CEO, so that most people don't live here with the feeling that, Engineer Balami is in money, that means he's enjoying his life, he's cruising, when I actually know that it is not exactly so. So help us, because a lot of young people, President Buhari said they are lazy. But frankly speaking, a lot of young people don't have very good work culture that can lead to success and can sustain a multi-million or billion institution. What's your work ethic like, and what would you advise people as far as, taking work seriously? Yeah.
Wow. So, and I'm happy that the person who is actually asking the question is the person who has actually helped me to be able to understand structure and to be able to apply it. The third time I met with Pastor he was very, very concerned because he saw the future. He saw where we are going to as a group. And he spoke to me about structure, about delegation. And I'll tell you that I have done. And that's what is actually helping me today. That doesn't mean it's easy. In fact, because I just finished my master's, and I was given an admission also to start my PhD, which I have just started in the US. So I'm doing a doctorate also in leadership and governance. But what I discovered is, when I came in here, I told the president, I said, please, Mr. President Olusegun, get me a coffee. Because I slept at about 4 a.m. this morning, and I had to wake up as early as 7:30 to get ready to come here. So I didn't have enough rest. So I needed coffee when I came into this place so that yes, I can be awake. But you see, you must be able to trust people, and that is why when I see somebody who can head one of the group in 7-star, or when I see somebody who can be my PA to play a vital role in my life as the group CEO, when I see him or her getting distracted and not being focused, or doing so many things that at the end of the day will not fetch him or her anything meaningful in life, I'm like, why are you distracted? Why don't you become focused and do what you're supposed to do? So every CEO or every group CEO or every leader need people in his or her life. So what I do is, when I meet people that I know that they are very, very good, I recognize that fact and I give them an opportunity. Half of them will always blow it away, but some will take it serious and they will remain focused. And these are the people that are actually making the structure to work. So based on what Pastor Wale taught me, and I applied it. This is not in the public domain yet. So there's a company that actually manufactures helicopter. It's a Canadian company. And they just came up with a new technology. They are being powered by General Electric. That's the engine and the gearbox of that helicopter. And the helicopter has no tail rotor, which means that they have removed 80% of all movable part on that helicopter, saving 80% of maintenance and so many things. So they've done the test flight, they've powered it, it has worked, and they now want to go into full production. Now, because in Canada and US, we have Sikorsky and Bell helicopters, and in Europe, we have the Augusta, Leonardo. They cannot compete in that area because they are new. So what they're doing is they had to move into Africa to put a structure, because Africa is the next world power. And that they know. So for a long time, they were looking for somebody who would chair the entire organization globally. So a couple of people were interviewed from South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, everywhere. These are people with PhD, with 35 years, 40 years experience in aviation. And somebody from the Philippines recommended me. Wow. So I went with the founder, the CEO. We had a Zoom meeting. And by the time I spoke to them about who I am, what I do, they asked the same question, sir. This same question. And I didn't lie to them. I just told them what I've done and what we're doing. And same advice from you. For your information, sir, Deloitte will handle our statutory audit from next month. And then Anderson will handle the transfer pricing and our internal control. It's not cheap, but based on your advice, is what we've done. And when we are launching the operations, for the first time in the history of aviation, you have a company that from inception, from launch, they have the top 4 in the world to look into their books. The reason is because we want to get it right. And all this is because we submit to mentorship from people like yourself. And when I mentioned that, Pastor, I have been appointed as the chairman of that organization.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Thank you. So because That question, I believe it's a deep question. And is whether you are a small business starting, whether you are big or you are medium, you need to understand that. You must remove yourself. You must allow the system to work. So I'm the group CEO, but I'm going to be on salary. And the transfer pricing takes care of what is apparel paying me, what is hanger paying me, what is airline, and I get a lump sum. I can't dip in my hands. If coffee is taken in my office, there's a float. If I exhaust it, I pay with my own money. So that even if you are investing your kobo in 7-star group, you know that Balami is not buying Bentleys and Rolls Royce and misbehaving while the company is suffering. So the aim is not to intimidate people to go to places where they play Dorime or to intimidate people by popping champagne. The aim is to, for me actually, we by the time we can say we have hit that target of 10,000 jobs, of good jobs, sustainable jobs, then I think we'll say, yes, we have arrived.
Wow.
Or we have just started, rather. So what is important is that structure, Pastor, like you've always insisted, is something that I discovered that you can't do without. And if you're somebody here, it doesn't really matter. You are doing business with your wife, or you have a barbing salon, there must be a structure there. You have a salon where you do pedicure, manicure, whatever, there must be a structure. And if you have that structure, and you have division of labor, I can travel for the next 3, 4, 5 days. For the first time, I'm not worried anymore. The system is running in the airport. Now I'm trying to renew all my US because I couldn't travel at some point because everything is Balami. You can't do anything without Balami. As I'm talking to you now, Arik aircraft had a problem. They can't fly tomorrow. And I just got a call. I spoke to the engineer. He's currently fixing Arik's aircraft, and the aircraft will fly tomorrow. Now, before, I would have left church running to the airport to go and look for the equipment or do this. No. There's a structure. So if you need anything now, even if you can't reach Balami, there are people that can handle it. And that is how it is.